Abisco without any headings Kalico 2.13 p.m. Your body knows something is wrong long before you do. Imagine waking up one morning, swinging your legs over the side of the bed, and simply not being able to stand. Not because of a heart attack, not because of a stroke, but because the largest, most powerful muscles in your body have quietly been shutting down for years, and nobody warned you. Right now, 1 in 3 adults over the age of 60 falls every single year, and the majority of those falls trace back to one single cause: weak glutes. And here is the part that will genuinely shake you. The very position you are sitting in right now is making this problem worse with every passing minute. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you 5 simple exercises that can rebuild your glute strength quickly, safely, and without a gym or a single piece of equipment. Here is what most people do not realize. Your glutes are not just the muscles you sit on. They are the foundation of your entire body. Every step you take, every time you rise from a chair, every time you climb a single stair, your glutes are supposed to fire and carry that load. But after 60, something called gluteal amnesia begins to set in. Your glute muscles literally forget how to activate properly, and the most dangerous part is what happens next. Your lower back, your knees, your hips, they begin compensating. They absorb the pressure your glutes were designed to handle. That is where the chronic pain starts. That is where the falls begin. That is where independence starts to slip away. Most mainstream advice tells you to walk more or rest more. Nobody warns you that walking alone does almost nothing to rebuild true glute strength, and that resting is quietly making you weaker every single day. My name is Dr. James Mitchell, and I have spent over 25 years working with adults over the age of 60 in rehabilitation and functional movement medicine. I have watched strong, capable, independent men and women lose their mobility, not because of some unavoidable disease, but because of 5 specific movement mistakes that nobody ever took the time to correct. I have sat across from too many patients who looked at me and asked why nobody warned them sooner. I am done staying quiet about this. Everything I share here is grounded in real clinical research, explained in a way you can actually use starting today. Tonight, you will learn the 5 most effective glute-building exercises specifically designed for adults over 60, the exact reason your glutes have gone weak and why the damage is far more reversible than you have been led to believe, and the one daily habit that is silently switching your glutes off, even if you already consider yourself an active person. The first exercise on this list is the glute bridge, and I already know what some of you are thinking. That sounds too simple, too basic, something you might see at the beginning of a beginner yoga class. That assumption is exactly why most people over 60 skip it entirely, and that decision is quietly costing them their stability and their independence. When you lie on your back, bend your knees, and drive your hips toward the ceiling, you are activating the gluteus maximus, the largest and most powerful muscle in the entire human body. You are also engaging the gluteus medius, which is the muscle responsible for keeping your pelvis level with every step you take. A study published in the Journal of Physical Therapy Science confirmed that the glute bridge produces significantly higher glute activation than standing exercises for older adults, particularly those who have already developed gluteal amnesia from prolonged sitting. Think of your glutes like a car engine that has been sitting in a garage unused for years. From the outside, the car looks perfectly fine. But when you turn the key, the engine sputters and hesitates. The glute bridge is the ignition. It wakes that engine back up, one slow and controlled repetition at a time. I once treated a 67-year-old woman named Margaret who came to me after her 3rd fall in 2 years. She was not a sedentary person. She gardened regularly. She walked every morning. But her glutes had essentially stopped firing without her knowledge. We began with simple glute bridges 3 times a week. Within 6 weeks, she told me that standing up from her couch felt easier than it had in a full decade. Within 3 months, her balance scores had improved to a level that genuinely surprised both of us. She told me it felt like someone had turned the lights back on inside her legs. Stop right now and honestly ask yourself, when was the last time you did any exercise that specifically targeted your glutes? Not walking, not general stretching, something that actually made those muscles burn and work. Comment that answer below. Now for the fix. Lie on your back on a firm surface. Bend your knees with your feet flat on the floor, hip width apart. Press through your heels and lift your hips until your body forms a straight line from your knees to your shoulders. Hold for 2 seconds at the top. Then lower yourself back down slowly. And that slow lowering is not optional, because that is where the real strength is built. Start with 10 repetitions, rest, and complete 2 more sets. Do this every other day, and within 2 weeks you will feel a difference you cannot ignore. Now the second exercise is even more powerful for fall prevention, and the reason it surprises people is because it looks almost identical to something they already do dozens of times every single day without ever thinking about it. But when done incorrectly, it is silently destroying your knees and your hips. That is exactly where we go next. Number 2 on this list is the sit-to-stand squat. Most people have been told that squats are dangerous after 60. Well-meaning friends say it. Some doctors even say it. And though that advice comes from a good place, it is one of the most damaging things an older adult can hear, because you are already squatting every single day. Every time you sit down and stand back up from a chair, you are performing a squat. The only real question is whether you are doing it with strength and control, or whether you are collapsing into it and struggling back out. When your glutes are weak, your quadriceps take over the movement entirely. This creates a forward shearing force on the knee joint. Over time, a compound called interleukin-6, an inflammatory marker, begins accumulating in the joint fluid. Researchers at the American College of Rheumatology have linked elevated interleukin-6 directly to accelerated cartilage breakdown in the knee. In plain language, weak glutes cause your knees to age faster than they should. Think of your body as a chain. When one link goes weak, the chain does not break at the weak point. It breaks at the next link. And for most adults over 60, that next link is the knee. I once treated a 71-year-old retired teacher named Robert, who had been told he needed knee replacement surgery. He was in real pain, but when I assessed his movement patterns, his glutes were barely activating at all. We spent 8 weeks doing guided sit-to-stand exercises before addressing his knees directly. His pain reduced by over 60%. His surgeon, reviewing his follow-up imaging, agreed that surgery could be postponed indefinitely. When you stand up from a chair right now, do you push off the armrests? Do you lean heavily forward and sort of fall upward? Comment yes or no below. Your answer matters more than you realize. The fix is this. Sit on the edge of a firm chair with your feet hip-width apart and flat on the floor. Cross your arms over your chest. Do not use your hands to push. Lean slightly forward from your hips, not your waist, and drive through your heels to stand. Squeeze your glutes firmly at the top. Then lower yourself back down slowly and with full control. Do not drop. Start with 8 repetitions, rest 1 minute, and repeat twice. This single exercise done consistently can transform your daily functional strength within 30 days. Now the third exercise on this list is one that almost nobody over 60 is doing, and the research behind it will genuinely surprise you. It targets a part of your glutes that the first 2 exercises almost completely miss, and it is that neglected portion that is most responsible for keeping you upright when the ground beneath your feet becomes uneven. The third essential exercise is the clamshell. It targets the gluteus medius, the side portion of your glute that most people have never heard of and almost nobody specifically trains. And that is a serious problem, because the gluteus medius is your body's primary stabilizer. It is the muscle that prevents your hip from dropping with every step you take. When it is weak, every step carries subtle instability. Over time, that instability compounds in your hip, in your lower back, in your knee. A study published in the Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation found that gluteus medius weakness was present in over 80% of older adults who reported unexplained hip pain and balance difficulty. 80%. And the vast majority of them had never once been told their hip muscle was the source of the problem. Think of your body as a building with a slightly uneven foundation, not dramatically broken, just subtly off. From the outside, everything looks fine, but over years, tiny cracks appear, doors begin to stick, windows no longer close cleanly. That is precisely what gluteus medius weakness does to your skeleton. The damage is invisible at first. Then one day, everything starts to hurt, and nobody can explain exactly why. I once treated a 64-year-old woman named Carol who had spent 3 full years visiting different specialists for unexplained lower back pain. She had imaging done, she had injections, nothing held. When she came to me, I identified severe gluteus medius weakness within the first assessment. 6 weeks of consistent clamshell exercises later, her back pain had reduced by over 70%. She called me laughing and said, "All of this, from a side-lying leg exercise? Have you ever specifically trained the side of your hip? Not walking, not cycling? Something that directly targets that outer glute area? Drop a yes or a no below. The fix is simple. Lie on your side on a firm surface with your hips stacked and your knees bent at roughly 45 degrees. Keeping your feet together, raise your top knee as high as you comfortably can, like a clamshell opening. Hold for 1 second at the top. Lower slowly. You should feel this in the side of your hip and upper glute. If you feel it in your lower back, reduce your range of motion and focus on keeping your core gently braced. Do 15 repetitions on each side for 2 to 3 sets every other day. Now the fourth exercise is one that my patients are most surprised by because it requires no equipment, takes less than 2 minutes, and research shows it activates the glutes more effectively than many gym machines costing thousands of dollars, and the reason it works so well comes down to how your nervous system communicates with aging muscle tissue. Number 4 is the standing hip extension. This exercise directly mimics the natural glute firing pattern your body needs for walking, climbing stairs, and standing from a low surface, and it can be done anywhere, beside your kitchen counter, beside a wall, holding the back of a sturdy chair. As you age, the neuromuscular connection between your brain and your glute muscles weakens. This is called neuromuscular inhibition, and it is made significantly worse by prolonged sitting, which shortens the hip flexors and sends a constant inhibitory signal to the opposing muscle, your glute. A study in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity found that targeted hip extension exercises in adults over 65 significantly improved neuromuscular activation patterns within just 4 weeks, meaning the brain and the muscle began communicating efficiently again. Think of your nervous system as a highway between your brain and your muscles. When you sit for hours every day, that highway gets smaller, lanes close, traffic slows to almost nothing. The standing hip extension reopens those lanes. It restores the communication. It wakes the muscle from the inside out. I once treated a 68-year-old retired accountant named David who had spent most of his career sitting and continued doing so in retirement. He came to me after noticing he had begun shuffling when he walked rather than taking full, confident steps. His glutes had essentially forgotten how to extend his hip during normal walking. Within 5 weeks of daily standing hip extensions, his walking pattern had visibly changed. His family noticed before he did. How many total hours do you spend sitting each day? Not just at meals. Count everything. Add it up honestly and comment that number below. Most people are genuinely shocked. The fix is this. Stand behind a sturdy chair and hold the back lightly for balance. Stand tall. Slowly extend one leg directly behind you, keeping your knee straight and your back neutral. Do not arch or twist. Squeeze your glute firmly at the top. Hold for 2 seconds. Return slowly. Do 12 to 15 repetitions on each side for 2 sets. Slow extension and slow return. Speed removes the work from your glute and places it directly on your lower back, which is the exact opposite of what you need. Now the fifth and final exercise is the one I consider most important of all, not because it is the most intense, but because it addresses the single most overlooked factor in glute weakness after 60. And when you understand the science behind it, you will understand something about your body that you may genuinely never have been told. The fifth essential exercise is the modified single leg deadlift. Before you worry, this is not the version competitive athletes perform with heavy barbells. This is a gentle, supported bodyweight version adapted specifically for adults over 60, and it may be the single most effective exercise for rebuilding the functional glute strength that real life actually demands. When you stand on one leg, which happens with every single step you take, your body requires the glute of the standing leg to stabilize your entire pelvis, your spine, and your balance all at once. A study from the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that single-leg stability training in older adults reduced fall risk by up to 34% when practiced consistently over 12 weeks. 34%. That is not a minor improvement. That is the difference between independence and a hospital visit. When you perform this movement, you activate what is called the posterior chain, the entire line of muscles running from your heel, through your calf, your hamstring, your glute, and into your lower back. These muscles do not work in isolation. They work as a coordinated team, and training them together, even gently, rebuilds the kind of functional strength that protects you in the real world, on uneven pavement, on slippery floors, on stairs without a railing. Think of your posterior chain as a suspension bridge. When all the cables are taut and working together, the bridge is extraordinarily strong. When one cable, your glute, goes slack, the tension redistributes unevenly. Over time, the bridge begins to sway. The modified single-leg deadlift retentions every cable at once. I once treated a 72-year-old woman named Eleanor who had become afraid to walk outside after 2 falls in the previous year. She had stopped attending her grandchildren's soccer games. She had stopped visiting the farmer's market she had loved for 30 years. We began with a fully supported version of this exercise, using both hands on a counter for balance. Within 10 weeks, she was walking confidently on uneven grass again. She sent me a photograph of herself standing at the sideline of her granddaughter's soccer match. That photograph is still on my desk. Is there something you have stopped doing because your body no longer felt safe enough? Comment and tell me what it is, because you may be far closer to getting it back than you realize. The fix is this. Stand beside a wall or counter and place one hand lightly on it for support. Shift your weight onto one foot. With a soft bend in the standing knee, hinge forward at the hip, not the waist, and allow the opposite leg to float behind you for balance. You do not need to go far. Even a small hinge activates the entire posterior chain. Hold for 1 to 2 seconds. Return to standing and squeeze your glute firmly at the top. Do 8 to 10 repetitions on each side. Rest fully between sets. Start with 1 set and build gradually. Control always comes before repetitions, so let us bring all 5 together one final time. The glute bridge reawakens your sleeping glutes and rebuilds the basic activation your body has lost. The sit-to-stand squat transfers that strength into your most important daily movement. The clamshell targets the neglected gluteus medius and restores the hip stability you need with every step. The standing hip extension reopens the neuromuscular highway between your brain and your glutes, and the modified single-leg deadlift ties the entire system together, building the real-world functional strength that keeps you safe, upright, and independent. If you have been neglecting these muscles for years, please hear this clearly. It is not too late. The human body has a capacity for recovery that genuinely humbles me after all my years in medicine. I have watched 70-year-olds rebuild strength that surprised their surgeons. I have watched 75-year-olds return to activities they were certain were gone forever. Your body wants to heal. It simply needs the right signal from you. Think about walking into a room without calculating where you can grab on. Think about standing up from a dinner table without bracing yourself first. Think about going for a walk and coming home feeling strong rather than defeated. That is what this is truly about. Not just stronger glutes, but your independence, your confidence, and the full quality of every day that lies ahead of you. I want to hear from you. Is there a physical activity, something that used to bring you real joy, that you have quietly stopped doing because your body no longer felt reliable enough to carry you through it? Leave your answer in the comments. I read every single one, and I mean that. Subscribe to this channel. Every week I share practical research-based guidance specifically for adults over 60 who want to stay strong, stay mobile, and stay fully present in their own lives. If this video helped you today, hit the like button right now so that more people can find this information before it is too late for them. Write the words "strong glutes" in the comments below. Your commitment today may be the exact thing that inspires someone else to take their very first step. And please share this with someone you love, a partner, a sibling, a friend, a parent. You may never fully know whose life you protect with that one simple act. This is Dr. James Mitchell. Take care of your body. It is the only home you will ever truly live in, and it is absolutely worth fighting for.